The fuck? Bro.
System integration complete.
Such is their blessing. Repent, for silence beckons.
Hi. Hello.
True faith, revealed at last.
Back-to-back streams. I just found the Archer people annoying, so I decided to do a stream to calm down. I was about to make another video, but it's like it's not that deep. I'm about to go into my Yao Guang thing again.
Such is their blessing. Purge the impure. Bow before me. Torrents, rage on. Rise and crack. Such is their blessing.
Your own people turn your back on you. I mean, the majority of people who watch me, it doesn't necessarily mean that,
Revealed at
what's it called? Like they understand HSR like that. Like if anything, it's the opposite. A lot of people who watch me will usually be sometimes less meta focused and they just kind of rely on me for like meta opinions and stuff. The only HSR creators that have like hardcore dedicated fan bases that know what they're really talking about is usually like the private server people. Like HOS and the other ones. Because their entire channel is just built off of min-maxing.
Such is their blessing. Repent, for silence beckons.
Yo, chill out.
Furious tides, split the heavens. Such is their blessing.
Is that S6 cart? Yeah.
Such is their blessing. Purge the impure. Oceans, bow before me. Rise and crack. A mere scratch upon my blade. Till the
Wait, why did it just cancel my ult?
Such is their blessing. I won't back down.
What? Oh, this is definitely gonna one-shot me, isn't it? I've never even seen this before. Yup.
Sorry. Request.
Okay. Well, at least I got an achievement out of it. For some reason, it kicked me out of my ultimate originally. How many accounts do you have in Woowa? This is the only one I play on at all. Like, this is the only one. I have another one, but I haven't touched it in like over half a year. So it basically doesn't exist to me.
System integration complete. Such is their blessing. Oceans. Bow before me.
What? Bro, what is this? Two. Why do you do so many short streams? Because I'm not someone who can like talk a lot for hours and hours on end. So short streams with breaks in between is the easiest for me. Why, Burley?
Such is their blessing. True blessing. Revealed at last. A mere scratch upon my blade. Charge forth with me.
Haunting whispers return.
Sweet for the dead.
Smaller, big cart, small.
Such is their blessing. I repent.
For silence beckons. Whispers return.
Bro, there's so much VFX going on that I can't even tell when this guy's going to actually attack.
Furious tides. Split the heavens.
Yeah, I thought some bullshit like that would happen. Thank you for taking it. Oh, wait, Yohu. You're gonna have to take this as well. Yep. Sorry.
Hands off.
Yep, there it is. More bullshit.
Such is their blessing.
Just look at Remiel's animations. Do I have to? I don't really care about her. Zenless. Zone Zero. Official Void Hunter trailer. Ooh, she flies around. Clean. I mean, technically Yishuan already did that, but this looks better. Okay. Attacks pretty fast. Oh my goon bait. Oh my goodness. Wow. What a pose. Now that's fan service.
Such is their blessing. True faith revealed at last. A mere scratch upon my
Yo. Okay. Bro, what? Is every new enemy that's added into this game flying now? I've started to realize this. Like, why is every new enemy able to fly? Like they're clearly just doing this shit so that they can stall time and make fights harder. But it's like it's so cheap.
trial isn't over yet. Oceans, bow before me.
Pull Luke, we good. I'll just wait for Jingron.
The night's challenge has arrived. Repent.
For silence beckons.
Stand in the footstep.
Exonerate.
A mere scratch upon my blade. My blade. Burn all evil. Such is the blessing.
It's Rage Bait Gabby Maru is LARPing. I don't LARP. And I don't bait the rage.
System integration complete. Such is the blessing.
It's garbage now.
Trial is my quest.
I actually found out like 10 minutes ago, if I get 4 crit rate subs on my Phanon, it's more valuable than Archer's E1 is. Imagine that, 4 crit rate subs.
Such is their blessing. True faith revealed at last.
I will never LARP. LARP is my body, and Rage Bait is my blade. I swear I pressed dodge. Fuck. Said that E1 Archer lost so much value, yet it was good on release. I mean, it's just another E2 Acheron situation. in terms of the way it aged. Although even E2 Acheron is better than fucking E1 Archer. Look at all the pulls I have, guys. Am I rich? Or what? Is E2 Archer still worth it? I was talking about it in the stream earlier. In my opinion, E2 Archer's main value is just for APOC, because now you can consistently use him against anything. And it also allows you to use Genius, the defense shred relic set, more reliably as well, because you can just implant it. That's like the main benefit of E2. There is 20% res down, but I don't know. Like, it'll work in, I imagine, most situations currently. The only thing I don't like about his E2 is that there's a 2-turn cooldown on it. And the reason that's annoying is because, like, there's a lot of enemies these days where, let's say you're a boss, you need to get rid of my 2 minions in order to get rid of my damage reduction, right? So there are times when you want to use Archer's arrows plus ult on minions to get rid of them, but like, if you do that, then the 2-turn cooldown on the ult that's targeted on the boss disappears, and there's no longer a quantum weakness or 20% res down. So you'd have to rely on Rin to deal with the minions, but that's so unreliable. Like, her damage isn't that high. But yeah, like, it's a better Eidolon than E1 Archer at least. Like, it's definitely more valuable and has more use cases. E1 Archer at this point is just like for show. E1 Archer is basically going band for band at this point with E1 Acheron. For those who don't remember what it is, it's like 18% crit rate or something. And it's been getting clowned on for forever. I mean, that's just how things go. If you create an Eidolon to fix a flaw, but then continue to create best-in-slot supports that fix the flaw that the E1 fixed, then the E1 loses value. You know? That's kind of just what happens. And I'm getting straw-manned in my comments. Like, people are trying to tell me that the reason I'm getting hate is because apparently labeling a less than 10% Eidolon jump, like, apparently that's not nearly useless to them. And I was unfair in labeling it that way. Like, outside of this entire Archer thing, would you guys not consider an Eidolon that's in like the single digit jump percentage to be nearly useless? Or am I tripping? Maybe like my way of thinking is just fucked because I get every single character like E2, E6, and their vertical investment is way better. I swear that's like nearly useless. It's not literally useless, but it's nearly useless. What if E1 is free? I already clarified that people can go for E1 if they want to, but my point still stands that it's nearly useless. The opportunity cost of getting Gilga and then being able to get Ashe Emblade and have 2 teams on the same level from getting Gilga in my opinion, is more valuable than getting E1 Archer, making him like 8% stronger. But of course, if you don't like Gilga, then yeah, like, at least it's something. But that's why I say nearly. It's not literally useless, but like, it's nearly useless. It's happening again. Ramiel is getting hate. I'm being dead honest. If anybody plays Zenless Zone 0 in the big halfway through 26 and gets mad at fan service, they need to stop yelling at brick walls. You know? Not even brick walls. You are barking at like an Egyptian pyramid that has been standing for the last tens of thousands of years. Like, no! The fan service game is making a character who gives fan service. Ugh! You know? Like, you came to a burger place expecting tacos.
The knight's challenge has arrived.
And also, if they actually spent money for the men in ZZZ, maybe they'd give the equivalent fan service to the men. Like, all I ever see is, oh, what if Monato was S rank? What if this dude was S rank? And then they have, like, the lowest sales I've ever seen in my life.
The knight's challenge has arrived.
E1 is better now with Rin? No, it's just not. Yeah, but that's a cope post. I've already seen a tactician. People who actually do TC and runs have already been saying that, like, it's insignificant at this point, his E1. And E0 Archer is just, like, right on the heels anyways. The thing is, Rin's own damage contribution in an Archer team isn't significant enough for E1 allowing her to maybe skill one more time every cycle to actually matter enough. Like, Archer hard carries the damage output of the team. And even when you look at Rin's damage contribution, isn't it only like so much lower than Archer's, but her damage contribution includes the joint attack as well. When you just include the skill attacks, it's even lower than what it already shows as. Like, she's doing a fifth, a sixth of the team's damage. You could do like one more Archer arrow or two more Archer arrows and it would be the same thing. E1 is my goat. I don't own E1. It's just so garbage, man. I can't believe I actually, like, bothered to pull the E1 directly through the Fate banner. Man, they should just add the ability to refund Eidolon's unlimited characters. All for my own sake.
The knight's challenge has arrived.
This game is Wuwa, Wuthering Waves. Mid-ass E1. People think I'm agenda posting, but like I'm just being dead serious. Like I wish his E1 is good. I wish I could glaze the value his E1 used to have on the team. But like I'm not gonna lie. Like that's what I hate about all this is people lying. You know? It's the same reason why I got so overly frustrated with Yao Guang, despite me not caring about Yao Guang in the slightest. People are like so persistent and not seeing the reality of what's like right in front of them. Can we start pushing Saridra agenda with Rin? I heard Saridra's actually decent with Himiko Solus. I don't know exactly how it works, but like rumors, you know? Things floating around. Oh, it's E2 Himiko? Well, everybody's pulling E2 Himiko anyway, so that's basically baseline. You know? Archer E1 is better than Gilgamesh, change my mind. Bro, nobody wants to change your mind, man. You're just rage baiting. Himiko needs Eidolons to work with Saridra. Yeah, and everybody goes into Eidolon, so it's okay. Also, I saw something, bro. The light cone jump that Himiko has of 34% becomes like 50% when you get her E2 or something. Like it becomes so much like more important. So for anyone getting E2 Himiko, like grabbing her light cone will legit make her 50% stronger in comparison to her next best option, which is Thurda's, which is disgusting. One question, if I may ask, is the team of Himeko, Welt, Donhung PT, and RMC good? It'll clear, yeah. It's solid with current Himiko's power level to work. But getting Lycone and Eidolons on Himiko, either or both, will be the long run possible investment. If you want to optimize it, that is. You don't need it though. Himiko is getting like one... I think Himiko has one cause 0 cycled every MOC. And the Knights are all 1 or 2 cause 0 cycles, for reference. So like obviously you as a normal player, you're probably not going to go for sustainless 0 cycles. So you expect like 2 cycle clears probably. Pull same character 3 times and then Lycone to make him playable. I'll never get this agenda that people try to use against verticals. Bro, she's getting 1 cost 0 cycles. She doesn't need them to be playable. She needs them for 0 cycling at that cost for the next year to a year and a half. Like that's... like the entire point is to make the character so incredibly overkill that they don't fall off. Like, you guys are trying to use the Phanon versus Cassie agenda that aged terribly, because currently Cassie, even against like literally every endgame, is currently requiring more cost investment than Phanon for the same performance. Like, people used to use the agenda of, oh, you have to pull multiple characters. Well, you can run free to play supports. Meanwhile, what's the difference to a team that requires horizontal investment? You need to pull 4 different characters, 4 different Lycones. Every character is a niche best in slot, all to keep up with an E2 Himiko.
The night's challenge has arrived.
Yeah. I saw Saber doing a 3-cycle clear and the comments cooked her. I mean, yeah, she's weaker now. Where's your Rebecca? Here.
The power to split and merge matter.
I mean, you don't even need E4 well. I'm seeing like 1-2 cause 0 cycles using non E4 welt with sustain. Like, do you know how good that is? With sustain, no E4 welt, no Eidolons. Like, that's solid. Their showcases relic stats are unreal. That applies to literally any showcases. 99% of showcases are meant to show the peak of a team slash DPS. So they're all at like 39 subs, 35 subs on every single character. And a lot of them are high rolls. How is Cass still T0? Because Pridewind bases their stuff off of their own data. And when you think about it, the easiest team for anyone to pilot in sustain would be Cassie for most people. So Cassie ends up winning.
The night's challenge has arrived.
Phanon E0 so bad. Bro, Phanon is about to be 1 year old. And I use E0 Fae on my Silverwolf account against the Knights. And as well as MOC. And I clear. Within the given amount of time. I don't like 0 or 1 cycle the Knight. But I get 2 stars. And keep in mind, my Phanon doesn't even have like the optimal relic investment over there. Guy's missing like 15% crit rate. Or something like that. Like, I've always talked about this. People over exaggerate characters falling off in HSR, and then it's usually the opposite in like the open world esque gotcha games. I don't know why it is. I genuinely don't know. But like in HSR, a lot of people label a character fallen off if they struggle with 0 cycles. While in open world games, people will only consider you fallen off when you literally cannot clear within the given amount of time anymore.
The knight's challenge has arrived.
I've never understood it. I mean, maybe E0 Phanon with none of his supports would feel that bad. I wouldn't be surprised. But like, you know, like this applies to so many different games. You get the DPS without their best in slot supports, they're gonna feel ass after a year. You know? That's just kind of how it goes. I would never tell someone to pull an E0 Phanon. Well, obviously, because it's been a year. There's like a new wave of power creep. E0 Phanon isn't as strong as he was on release. On release, he was getting 1 cost 0 cycles even without Eidolons or best in slot supports. That's just how times change. This is all just revisionism, you know? Like, we can look back on it, knowing the current power level of characters, and be like, yeah, he's ass, don't pull him. I'd say pull a E0 Noxa, E0 Cassie. Hell no. Are you trying to brick people's accounts? Poor souls. Yeah, Evernight legitimately might be the only Ampho character that might be worth investing in from 0, depending on how Robin SP turns out. She might be the only one. And she was also the last DPS released in Ampho. To add insult to injury. She was literally the last one.
The knight's challenge has arrived.
If a DPS is shit after a year of their release, then the power creep is shit proves my point. But like, what gacha game does this not apply to? I'm so baffled. Like, once again, I just explained to you. E0 Faye cleared MOC, did 20k in PF, cleared APOC, and got 2 stars against the Knights for me. Like, and he isn't even well built. Like, he's missing so much crit rate. Early WUA, that wasn't the case. Early HSR, this wasn't the case. What is this point? Every single gacha game in its first year has the least amount of power creep because they don't have enough limited units out yet. Like, brother, Jing Yuan was getting 3 cost clears against MOC all the way up till 3.6. And he wasn't even using wheelchair. It was an actual like hyper carry comp with Don Hung PT and Sunday.
The Knight's challenge has arrived.
Yeah, like once again, it's just a double standard. People treat character value in HSR based off of zero cycling, unlike these open world games where for some reason they give significantly more leeway and will say a team is still viable even if you're barely clearing before the time runs out. Like, I've just realized this pattern. It's not even just a Wuwa thing, it's a Genshin thing too. If you clear with like 2 or 3 seconds left on an old, like 1-year-old team without like crazy investment, they're like, oh wow, I can't believe they still hold up, I can still use them, right? But in HSR, it's like, oh, you can't zero cycle? You're 3 cycling after a year and a half? You're bricked. You're washed. I'm dropping you.
The Knight's challenge has arrived.
His E0 kit is clunky and shit. Nobody is saying that his E0 kit isn't clunky. But I am literally telling you to your face that I used E0 Fae against every endgame content possible with E0 S0 Cyrene and E0 S0 Ceridra with sustain, right? I didn't even do sustainless, which is the optimal way to play him in these teams. I did it with sustain to be that much more relatable. And he cleared everything without issue.
The Knight's challenge has arrived.
The new Star Ward, yeah. I used Silver Wolf on one side, Monorem on the other, and Phanon on the other. I did it off stream. And it worked better than I realized. Wua power creep is okay. I mean, Wua power creep is slower than HSR's percentage-wise. However, there's more nuance behind the entire thing and why HSR can be easier to a lot of people, which I've talked about before. Wua characters at base are much weaker than new HSR characters at base. Wua characters usually have a lot worse vertical investment options than HSR characters. And then on top of this, HSR is giving so many fucking free 5 stars while Wua isn't. Those 3 aspects vastly change the argument, and it's not like as simple as it looks. Like, even the best S2 jumps in the entirety of Wua just don't touch Phanon, or Evernight, or Himiko, or E2 M Blade, so on, E2 Evanesia. Have you seen Yang Yang calcs? I'm gonna say this right now. Nobody should take Yang Yang calcs seriously in the slightest.
The Knight's challenge has arrived.
Like, it's probably gonna drop down to like 2.6, 2.7 million DPR, which is still power creep after Hiyuki already did power creep a little bit. But like, it's not gonna be this like 3 milli number that you're seeing probably. What character, 3 team content, free sequences, guaranteed weapon? Those 3 aspects vastly change the argument. 3 team content? Brother, who are you trying to fool? Do you think I'm not aware of Double Pawn's Matrix? If we're gonna include AA and HSR in Star Wars, you have to include Double Pawn's Matrix. Three-unit teams? 3-unit teams doesn't matter if the amount of teams that you need to fully clear the most difficult endgame content is significantly more. And also, with the amount of free characters HSR gives, their teams are much cheaper than Wu was. Like my recent video, where I covered that with the Himiko Welt and... or the Himiko Archer and Gilga team. Gilga's team is 2 cost and gets 0 cycles. Archer's team is 1 cost and gets 0 cycles. You only need to pull Rin. And then Himiko's is also 1 cost. You only need to pull Himiko. You put 4 limited, you get 3 different teams comprised with free-to-play obtainable supports in the past and present that all 0 cycle the endgame content. I wish HSR had viable Eidolons. They'd never do that. Because Eidolons are so much stronger in HSR. Like, there's a reason why Wuwa has a sequence shop, yet usually, instead of like HSR where E2 is the big jump in Wuwa is usually S3 and S6 on a majority of characters. Like, yeah, they give you the option to get sequences for free. Or not free, you know, they cost a shit ton of coral. But that's kind of the trade. Like, HSR Eidolons, they'd probably make, like, let's say E3 or E4 stronger if they made Eidolons buyable through the shop. Wait until you use the Lycone banner. See, the thing is, Tactician, though. This is what so many of you don't think about. With vertical investment becoming stronger and stronger in HSR, there is not a single new DPS whose Lycone investment is better than E1. And then on top of this, that stepping stone to E1 is 100 times more valuable, despite even the fact that the E1 is a better jump than the Lycone, because it puts you closer to the E2, which is an even bigger astronomical jump in most cases. Like, for example, in Wuwa, most weapons will average around a 25 to 35% damage increase. A ton of newer HSR characters are averaging 40 to 50% on E1. And then double or more than that at E2.
The Knight's challenge has arrived.
Yeah. Which is, like, why the 75-25 Lycone banner, it sucks. Like, you can easily say that the Lycone banner being 75-25 sucks and you prefer 100%. I'd 100% advocate for that. But the thing is, these days, you can easily skip getting light cones. Prioritize getting Eidolons. Because Eidolons match, if not surpass, the value of light cones for most characters these days. I mean, even Emblade, who's a support, this applies to. This applies to Gilga as well, actually. It applies to so many characters. Same thing applies to Ashvale.
The Knight's challenge has arrived.
They lock big aspects behind the light cone, base speed, energy, SP. 99% of energy, light cones, and HSR end up being completely terrible if they're signatures. Like, they make nearly no difference. Like, if anything, as of recent, HSR hasn't had many light cones at all that even hit the 30% plus jump. Himiko might be the first one in this entire version that has a light cone jump that big. That's like 30% plus. Although I heard it recently got nerfed, so actually, yeah, it might be back lower to 20 something. Yeah, basically every Elation character can run Mushy. I remember when people were slandering Mushy and being like, oh, the new path is a scam for light cone sales, just for it to be like better than a majority of 3.x teams. When is 20 plus not significant? I mean, the point is, unlike Wuwa, you have E1s, which are more significant, and are a stepping stone towards E2s, which are even more significant than the E1s. Wuwa doesn't have this option. That's the point. You have to go all the way to S3 to even compete. Like, what is so difficult to understand? HSR's vertical investment is 10 times more worth investing into than Wuwa's. The higher power creep balances that out? No, it doesn't. Like, brother, do you not... I guarantee you, in S2 Carlotta, comparative to time cleared against endgame content, is astronomically weaker after 1 year than E2 Phanon is. I can almost guarantee this. You put S2 Carlotta, and you equivalate time consumed in Wuwa to AV and HSR. E2 Phanon is blowing out Lotta in terms of aging well.
The Knight's challenge has arrived.
Carlotta is a bad example. You should use Cart. Cart is the only one who has that strength of sequences in the entirety of the game. While there are like 3 characters who have Phanon-esque level E2 jumps, and they're becoming increasingly more common in this version. That's why I chose Lotta. A majority of them don't have cart level sequence jumps. Like, it's legit just her. I mean, even if we weren't to use Carlotta, use Augusta. She has 1.8 million DPR. S2 Augusta, I'd imagine, would make her 30 to 40% stronger personal damage. That's weaker than the 3.x teams. And I'm pretty confident an E2 Faye would also beat Augusta. An S2 Augusta, comparatively. E2 Phanon free-to-play supports, S2 Augusta free-to-play supports. Augusta is one of the most glazed characters in WUA for so-called functioning well with Mortefi and free-to-play supports. Right. That's a better comparison. Use cart. If we use cart, and cart's at S2, with no best-in-slot teammates, no Chacona,
The Knight's
no
challenge
Chisa, and you're comparing it to E2 Faye with his non-best in slot, E2 Faye still wins. It doesn't matter. He still wins. This is why this argument is dumb. You're saying they don't need Lel C, so assume E2 Phanon? What are you talking about, man? Cart S3 R1 can solo, Phanon can't solo. Use Cart solo against Double Pawns Matrix and see how many rewards that gets you. Go ahead. Tell me, did you clear Double Pawns Matrix by running a solo cart? This is an open world game. HSR, its entire thing is being a turn-based game. Of course, the open world game is going to have more usage for solo play with a high investment DPS than the game that is completely turn-based. There's no turn-based if you allow one character to just mog everything.
The Knight's challenge has arrived.
This is the equivalent of me being nitpicky and saying, oh, why can't WUA characters compete with HSR characters' 0 cycles when you equivalate the time? Why? Why does it require a 6 to 8 cost WUA team to clear the hardest endgame in 30 seconds, but my Ashe plus M-Blade comp can do it at 2 cost? Because it's a turn-based with significantly more different settings in comparison to an open world. Using Carlotta, I brought up Augusta. Like, you guys are so disingenuous. This is such a joke of a conversation. The amount of goalposts that have been shifted like 10 times already and continue to be shifted. And I already mentioned it, Cart still loses to Phanon. It doesn't matter. She still loses to an E2. Oh my god, we're comparing an E2 S0 Phanon to an S3 R1 Cartethia, and she still loses. S3 cart is still better? Sure, man, sure. His SIG is important. He can zero cycle without his SIG, which is the point. Of course his SIG is nice. I'm not saying it isn't. My point is, if you give him a signature, it just makes it worse for cart, which is why I'm not including it. How does she lose? Oh my god. Like, can you guys not understand the concept of looking at the time required to clear something, dividing it by 5 to make it equivalent to HSR cycle clearage, and then comparing it between the two? Is that like such an outlandish concept that is impossible to understand?
The knight's challenge has arrived.
If we compare Thurda and Carlotta, both starting version DPSs are not that great even with Eidolons and Sig. Bro, Thurda's E2 jump is still double of her E0. Carlotta's S2 jump is like 20 to 30%. Even Thurda is technically better than Lotta. And everybody slanders Thurda in HSR. All she does is get slandered. Both are still not that great. See, you guys need to stop doing this once again goalpost shifting, where you start to generalize the characters and be like, oh, they're close enough to being as ass as each other. So clearly they're equivalently ass. As if I don't notice this. An E2 Herda has aged better than an S2 Lotta. Like, this is the issue. You guys are seeing everything in the light in HSR. I guarantee everything going through your mind of like, oh, how good is Herda, is related to zero cycle ability. While Carlotta is like, oh, she clears decently. You know? The thing, people don't realize that passively, they judge these characters from different games, severely different, depending on the community of the game, right? If you play one game where people are saying this character barely clearing in time is trash and power crept, then you're going to have that same mindset and bias. If the same thing happens in another game, but the community instead praises it, you will put more leeway and say, oh, at least that character can still clear. This is exactly what's happening right now. Also, there's one like massive elephant in the room that is not being addressed here. HSR has buffs. HSR releases new supports for buffing certain older characters. Wuwa hasn't done either of these.
The Knight's challenge.
Unless it was completely indirectly. Like, for example, you see it with Saber. Saber and the Gilga synergy might have gotten nerfed, but Saber getting Gilga has legit doubled her performance. If Argenti Nova is targeted towards Thirda, she's just going to be 4.x team DPS level again for free. Like, this is an advantage that HSR has. Most WUA characters don't need it. No, you cope into believing and telling yourself that most WUA characters don't need it. That's what you do. I see the bias. Earlier, I mentioned the fact that I used E0 Faye to clear everything, and all you guys could say for 30 minutes straight was how E0 Faye is complete garbage and needs his E2. Now, the argument is, oh, Carlotta can clear everything. She doesn't need her sequences. She doesn't need this. She doesn't need that. If she can clear, you know, that's better. I see the bias. I'm not stupid. Argenti's getting Nova'd? Yeah. He's in the next batch. It was Jiaoqiu, Argenti Sunday, and who was the other? Oh, Topaz. Topaz.
The Knight's challenge has arrived.
1.x HSR characters are in a much worse state than 1.x WUA characters? Yo, summertime. I don't know how to tell you this, but HSR is kind of like 1 year older than WUA. Would you believe that? So, with HSR having an extra year on WUA's lifespan, more power creep and HP inflation has naturally happened. And you know something else? Seal got buffed. Huohuo got buffed. Topaz is about to get buffed. Jingyuan and Dill are leaked for buffs in this version. Like, you just can't compare. Even the one argument you can have of like over 3-year-old characters have finally fallen off and would probably need a wheelchair to clear well these days. They're literally all getting buffed soon. It doesn't even matter. Even Jiaoqiu, who was widely clowned on as like the worst investment of a support possible in the history of the game, is about to get a Nova. Dr. Ratio, the worst DPS of 1.x, still hasn't been buffed. So why has the agenda shifted from 1.x units have been power crept to oblivion to me mentioning the fact that more than half the 1.x roster is soon to be buffed, and now you're trying to nitpick the few specific characters who haven't gotten a buff leaked / announced yet? Embarrassing, bro. Oh my god. This is the equivalent of me nitpicking Yin Lin and Wuwa. And being like, yo, why haven't they buffed Yin Lin yet? She's still fucking trash.
The knight's challenge has arrived.
I mean, Wuwa is doing buffs, but that's just for Double Pawn's Matrix. They're not doing like actual outside of Double Pawn's Matrix buffs. Yeah, it's only in Double Pawn's Matrix.
The knight's challenge has arrived.
It's just agenda pushing. Lots of older Wuwa characters are struggling too, but if you feed them enough, they will clear. Yeah, exactly. Like, the same thing applies to 1.x units. You can buy the new version wheelchair, and your 1.x units will clear. I mean, obviously, like, Dill and Jing Yuan are going to get their buffs this version, which will probably give them massive glow-ups and not need to rely on that. But, like, you can kind of understand the point. Like, you can do the same thing in Wuwa, right? Like, people putting Zhang Liao and a ton of 1.x characters in the Mornai Linne wheelchair. It's the same thing. There's probably going to be another wheelchair in, like, 4.x that is similar, but stronger, obviously. Blade and Jing Liu are tier 3 even after the buffs?
The knight's
Yeah,
challenge
and
has
Blade can still clear. It requires more heavy investment. Like, that's the point. I don't understand. That was also the first batch of Nova Flares, so they were testing it for the first time. Like, I myself tried to tell people when the first Nova batch was happening and they were glazing Blade, I said, don't be satisfied by this. This is not enough. After like half a year to a year, they're just going to go back to how they used to be. And they'd probably need teammates. Like, this is why I said Firefly's Nova and the way they did her treatment is the best possible way of Novaing a character. Because you don't only Nova them, you also get them a new support, which can support them, and this support has vertical investment for those who want to go that far. Firefly is like the perfect example of a Nova. Acheron will also be on this exact same level, because she got M-Blade, and now she's going to get her buff in this version too. High investment, you mean wheelchair? Brother, it's better than Wuwa. What the fuck are you gonna do with your Wuwa 1.x characters? Gion's S3 jump is like 30%. Fuck. Man, I'd rather have a wheelchair than nothing. Holy shit. Like, the sequence jumps among the 1.x characters are basically non-existent. And they don't have any really good teammates for them either. That only really started in version 2. Right as you say that, I got a Jingliu's Zero Cycle vid. Yeah. And if you look outside of Zero Cycles, they don't need as much investment as like people are making it out to be in my chat to push their own agendas. I'm sure Gian, Chacona, and Yuno can still clear. Brother. You did not just criticize me for bringing up a wheelchair just for you to bring up Gion's wheelchair. Like, are we serious? Cost Jing Liu 0 cycle? Yeah. There you go. You were implying Jing Yuan is fine, but Gian is not fine? I never said Jing Yuan is fine. When in the world did I say that? Even when I mentioned him, I mentioned the 3.6 MOC. Not anything in version 4 because he's fallen off bad. But, if you invest in a wheelchair, he'll clear. It's the same thing with a ton of Wuwa units. That's why I brought up Lene Mornai. But the point is, in HSR, our characters are getting buffed. Their Eidolons are getting buffed. Their base kit are getting buffed. They're getting indirectly buffed by supports like basically every like 3 or 4 patches. Wuwa characters do not have this. They aren't getting any buffs. They aren't getting changes to their sequences. Their base kits aren't becoming any better. If they do get a new support, it's usually very indirectly, and the damage jump isn't even that noticeable. Like, the two are on different planes, in all honesty. Buffs doesn't mean anything? Ay, Dios mío. They can still be tier 3 after buffs? Legit, which character was tier 3 after the second they got buffs? Like, which one? Or are you talking about over a year later, when they got their buffs a year ago, and it was the first batch of buffs ever released in the game? Oh, so you wait until a year later that they got their buffs to start agenda posting. A 1.x character can still clear endgame content to this day, is available for free through 50/50 losses. And you are complaining that he is now fallen off after 3 and almost a half years. And he's still probably gonna get something to buff him in the future. Seal ain't better than Archer, it's situational. Brother, why does she need to be better than Archer? This is my entire point. This double standard. This is like complaining that, let's say they buff Zhang Liao, and Zhang Liao isn't on the same level as fucking Hiyuki. right? Like, what are we complaining about? Like, it still clears. It's a massive jump, and it's gonna perform and clear for probably the next couple years. Not everything needs to be at the absolute peak like Archer. They claimed Archer was worse. I mean, Seal in the right hands can be better than Archer in some scenarios. In general, though, not really. But yes, like, for people who have the right relics and they know how to play her, like, they sometimes get like 0 AV clears. But it's like, I mean, I don't expect the casual player base to be able to replicate that, you know? So if WoW 1.x characters get buffed, they will be much stronger than 1.x HSR characters because WoW 1.x characters have a stronger base than 1.x HSR. Are you dumb? Did you unironically just say that WoW characters are stronger at base than HSR ones? Despite the new premium teams, fastest speedrun on the planet, taking up like 60 seconds against the endgame? Which is like 2 cycles in HSR at 6 cost? Brother, Himeko at 1 cost gets 0 cycles. HSR characters are way stronger at base. 1.x HSR characters? Yeah, and 1.x HSR characters were also able to, guess what? Not even 1 cost clear, 0 cost clear back then. Of course, with HP inflation and time, things change. But if Nova, I mean, Firefly literally did this. Firefly got Nova, and she started getting 2, 3 cost 0 cycles against everything. Despite her being hailed as being completely dog shit because she needed like 10 costs before the Nova and Dahlia. I'm talking about 1.x characters? Yeah. What about it? They got buffed, and they all started getting low cost. Bro, Jing Liu was getting 3 cost 0 cycles when she first got her buff.
The Knight's challenge has arrived.
There are more decent ones. No, unironically, even if we don't include buffing capability, there are more staple 1.x HSR characters that people kept using in the future than Wuwa has. Ruanmei, Huohuo, Fu Xuan. These 3 alone were used multiple versions into the future without any Nova flares or buffs, and were significantly more prevalent in the meta. The only one from 1.x that comes close in Wuwa is SK, and this is the only one. Oh yeah, also, standard Himeko was incredibly meta as well. There is that. There's Himeko, There's Bronya. I'm not gonna count Nova Welt because like that's technically not 1.x because he got buffed, but it's kind of unfair to include Welt. Verena? I mean, I don't think Verena's bad at all. My point is simply that there was more 1.x HSR characters that were prevalent in the meta like a year, 2 years in than Wu was. But Wu has a couple, namely SK and Verena. Oh yeah, Ting Yun as well. Yeah, that's actually true. Ting Yun was meta for a large part of V2 as well. It was only late version 2 with like the release of Sunday where people started to like move away from Ting Yun. But then characters like Anoxa and Phanon released in early V3 and people were using like their free to play teams with Ting Yun. And then she was back in the meta a bit again. But now she's kind of like completely gone, I'm not gonna lie. Ting Yun has 0 AV tag? Yeah, I know. Because of her being able to insta-trigger her ultimate at the beginning of battle. But yeah, like, after the end of all this useless and biased conversation, the point isn't whether Wuwa is better than HSR or HSR is better than Wuwa. The point is, it's much closer than people like to admit, and each game has their own benefits. And it completely depends on the person playing what they prefer. If you are someone who really likes horizontal investment, HSR might be the game for you these days. I'm not gonna lie. Because of the sheer amount of free characters that are being released. And if you like vertical investment, it's the same thing. But, in turn, Wuwa has less power creep. The characters are weaker. The vertical investment is weaker. But there's less power creep. Don Jin still solos? What the fuck is Don Jin soloing in the big halfway through 26? I've seen a majority of people 1 year ago be like Don Jin solos the hardest endgame content, to now a ton of people just put her on side tower duty. Or the lower tier of the middle floors. Also, Don Jin is literally the only character who can even be that semi-capable in solo, completely free to play without any teammates. Because her kit is designed to work around it. She's like the exception, not the rule. Yeah, 99% of Don Jin solos are done with a signature weapon. Like, at that point, just pull a new limited character, bro. You know? Like, technically, we could use the same agenda. It's not solo. But Mo's DPS and March DPS can clear MOC in a lot of endgame at incredibly low cost. I don't know how, because they're like 2 years old at this point. But they somehow just do it. Wuwa recently had 20% HP inflation in ult endgame. Well, yeah, it's gonna get HP inflation no matter what. That's just part of a gacha game. But my point is, it does have less power creep and HP inflation than HSR for the most part. And that's what you know, the benefit to some people is. Like in HSR, 20% power creep doesn't matter as much. Like once again, this goes back to the vertical investment diff that there is between HSR and this game. You can get E2 Evanescia, you can get E2 Faye, you can get E2 Evernight, you can get E2 Himiko. However, not only that, even the support Eidolons are completely busted these days. Like, it's very easy to make up for 20% HP inflation in HSR. Why do you think E1 Archer is overrated? Because I did the math and I realized that E1 Archer doesn't matter. Or barely matters. It's insignificant. Barely makes a difference.
The night's challenge has arrived.
I was talking about it at the beginning of the stream. I checked Fribbles. Getting 4 crit rate rolls on my Phanon would be more valuable than Archer's E1 in his own team. 4 crit rate rolls. Insane value. The agenda needs to be maintained. Who did the maths? You don't need to do the specific maths. You just need to write down the rotation. Sparkle 2-turn ultimate. Generate 6 skill points. Your sustain, they usually basic attack. Rin basic attacks most of the time. Other times, she'll be able to use her skill if you are at max cap. Archer ult, 2 follow-ups for more skill points. Every single Archer turn will have 4 more skill points because of a Rin joint attack. And Rin's ultimate will also generate another skill point. You see the issue here? Well, technically it's not an issue, it's a good thing. But you never run out of skill points. And even when you do, already 10 plus attacks have happened before you've hit this block. Meaning, even if E1 Archer came in handy here and gave you an extra arrow or gave you an extra Rin skill, it would be less than 10% of the total team's damage output. And then, right after this, you just get another Sparkle ult. You get another Rin joint attack. You do more basic attacks, and you're back to being on a bajillion skill points again. You know?
The night's challenge
Like,
has arrived.
that's why the E1 has lost value. Before, it was hard to be as SP positive as this current Archer team. In fact, it was impossible. But drive with Yohu, sure. Actually, if I had to do that, I'll need to sacrifice 5 human beings to get those rolls. Understandable. Rin's eyes are so big. I mean, that's just a unique part of HSR models, probably. Can't you give Sparkle buff to both and she'll get way more energy funneled if you use skill points with both in an optimized rotation? No. You're like kinda overestimating because, okay, here's the thing. 80% of the time that Rin takes a turn on an archer team, you basic attack. Because you don't lose anything from basic attacking, since her gem energy will just continuously stack on its own, right? Like 80 to 90% of a max multiplier Rin skill, like you can just save the damage over time and then use it on nuking a boss when, let's say, they get 50% vulnerability put on them, like Sam. And also, Rin doesn't use a skill often enough to really generate all that much more energy for Sparkle in the first place. So you use it like Cypher? Yeah, exactly. You basically treat Rin's skill the same way you treat Cypher's ult. You look for an opportune time to use it, you use it, and then you just basic over and over again until the opportune time comes again. Isn't Rin skill kind of bad in archer teams? I mean, it does something, but it's not like extraordinary. Like, once again, even including skill plus joint attack, her damage output on the team is like less than a quarter, maybe even a fifth. And that's assuming you're using her skill consistently. If you're like playing basic attacks to make sure Archer always gets 5 arrows, it might be even less. But of course your Archer does more damage in this case, because he always has the 5 arrows. Carlotta Cart Herda slander? I mean, it's deserved. Like, I'm gonna be honest. I am a vertical investment merchant, so many of you are not gonna agree with me. I wouldn't be bothered by how weak the 1.x WUA characters are these days if they actually had up-to-date verticals. You know? Like, if they got maybe a decent buff through teammates or a buff to their verticals, that alone would make me a lot happier. Because then I could get shit like S2, S3 Alada, and now she's like 80% plus stronger. And that's not bad, right? Like, if you make Alada 80% plus stronger, bro, she's competing with the newest teams. You know, S2, S3. Like, that's not bad. But, like, bro, most of 1.x units and early 2.x units sequence investment is terrible. Like, it's just dirt trash. Look at Argenti verticals. Yeah, but HSR players can laugh at Argenti verticals because he's going to get Nova'd. WUA players can't laugh or talk about this at all because they have no clue when their characters are going to get buffed. If they're ever going to get buffed. Which is the point. Like, this is why I have no issues investing into things like E6 Phanon, E2 Cyrene, E6 Anoxa. Like, even at the time of release, you can realize, what the fuck are you doing, right? This isn't optimal. But, like, it doesn't matter because I know my character is going to get buffed in the future anyways. Nobody in WUA knows that their character is going to get buffed. Pretty sure an E2 Herda is worse than low-cost 4-point-X teams. Brother, an S2 Carlotta is weaker than Zanny. They're in the same version within the first half of each other. Seal verticals are unchanged? No, I'm pretty sure they did change. E2 Herda is the weakest 3-point-X DPS. I'm gonna be honest. This might be a bit nitpicky, but like, Herda is not the weakest 3-point-X main DPS. Like, okay, her team is one of, if not the weakest, but she herself actually has a really, really good kit. It's just that she hasn't gotten a dedicated support anywhere near on the level of some of these new main pushes, and especially like Saber with Gilga, Archer with Rin, Archer with Nova Sparkle, right? Like, for reference, Archer without Rin and Nova Sparkle is a jobber. Like, he is weaker than E2 Thirda. A lot of people forget this, but like, Archer is some hot cheeks without Nova Sparkle and Rin. It's just that he got lucky with the teammates. Like, I'd actually say Herda is probably in the mid tier of Ampho DPSs. Where, like, if you were to give her, let's say, Cassie level teammates, she might be stronger than Cassie, in all honesty. Herda's an AoE bot. Are you even a Thirda main? Brother, I've played with E2 Thirda when she released and played with her for multiple patches before I dropped that account. It doesn't matter if she's an AoE bot. You know who is also an AoE bot for the most part? Himiko. Like 90% of Himiko's damage is AoE with a little bit of bounce on the fucking nuke attack with the robot in her ultimate. Yet she's still competitive with a ton of the newer DPSs against these enemies in like low target scenarios because she has a better kit and teammates to pair alongside it. Aggie is the weakest DPS from V3? No. The weakest main DPS from V3 is Anoxa. If you remove teammates, it's probably Anoxa. When you just talk about base kit. Thirda mains know how bad she is right now? Yes, but I'm not, oh my fucking god, I'm not saying that with a team she isn't bad. I'm saying Herda's base kit isn't as bad as a lot of people are trying to make it out to be. It's just that she didn't get good teammates. Like, this is the issue that like 90% of non-main push units in general in HSR have. They don't get the same teammate shilling, so their potential is more hard locked.
Here comes Master Yu.
Noxa still has a 3 cost 0 cycle to this day. Yes, but once again, this is because of Cyrene. Like, Cyrene's best buff in her entire kit, and the person who the double skill from Saridra is the most synergistic with, and the one who benefits most from sustainless RMC because of the action advances. All three of these coming together massively uplift Anoxa to make him look way better than he used to be. If you put Anoxa with free-to-play teammates, and then you put a Thirda with free-to-play teammates, it doesn't look pretty. That's all I'm going to say. It doesn't look pretty. Silverwolf is only good because of Yao Guang, so should we doom post her? What in the world are you talking about? Oh my god. I'm not saying that it's a bad thing if a character has good vertical investment. It's a good thing. Yes, characters like Cassie, characters like Silverwolf, characters like even the Fuwa team are astronomically weaker without their best in slot supports because their entire kit is built around working with these characters that generate them resources. My point is, add a base kit. Acheron is the best example of this. I have been glazing Acheron's base kit. Yes, it has so many issues, but Acheron's base kit is significantly better than Firefly's. And I always said, if you give Acheron the same treatment as Firefly, Acheron will be noticeably stronger than Firefly. Because Firefly has a lot more gimmicky of a base kit that is reliant on other teammates, while Acheron isn't. And that is exactly what we are seeing today. Without even getting a Nova yet, just getting Emblade, Acheron has already gone up to like top 10 DPSs in this game. If she gets a buff, which she is, because it's already been leaked to happen in this version, she will be stronger than Firefly. And there's nothing anybody can do about it. That's the difference between a character with a good base kit and a character with a trash base kit. It's much easier to upgrade the character with a better base kit. You weren't talking about base kits? Yes, I was. What the fuck? I said it like 10 times. Oh my god. I cannot believe my chat today. This might be the worst it's been since the Yao Guang beta. Oh my fucking... It must be the title. The title just automatically instilled like brain slowness. Like it just debuffed my chat. Maybe I misunderstood then because I heard you say Anoxa worst 3.x DPS. Yeah, no. What I was trying to say is Anoxa is one of the worst, if not the worst 3.x DPS in my opinion, with his base kit alone, not including his teammates. Like obviously if you include, I've always said this, Cyrene's best buff is towards Anoxa. So Anoxa and the Cyrene Saridra synergy is so strong, it makes him one of the best Ampho teams in the entire game. But like, a Noxa free-to-play team is so bad. like these days. It was obviously better on release because like new HSR character, oh they 1-cost 0 cycle, you know. But at base he has so many issues and his damage is so low. Yeah. We don't even get started on Anoxa's Eidolon investment. I bet he better get a Nova, and they better fix the first 2 Eidolons to be main DPS. Otherwise, I'll delete my HSR account with Anoxa on it. Castris also dog then? Yeah, I already said that. Why do you think Evernight replaced Cassie in the Mono Rem team? Why do you think Evernight replaced the person who was dedicated as the main DPS as the sub DPS for the team? They made her teammates so shield for her that they didn't realize they made her a little too strong. To the point where the main DPS got kicked out. Anoxa the only edition, air edition that's better single target? Well, yeah, that's because they were trying to save Thirda. I always say this, like, the first half of version 3 is them clearly trying to understand how to make good sub DPSs for teams, and they did not understand it with Anoxa. They thought that him just carrying her in single target situations and not actually like fixing parts of her kit would end up aging well, but instead it aged terribly because it's like, you know, there's some single target endgame content here. I could pair him with my Thirda and literally nerf his ass, or I can run him as the main DPS because he's a guy who thrives in single target and do better than if I use my Thirda. Like, they didn't think it through. It was terribly thought through. Like, people were obviously gonna switch to just playing Anoxa main DPS whenever there was single target content instead of using him with Thirda. And then if you're in pure AoE content as well, in this case it's not Herda who gets fucked, it's Anoxa who gets fucked. Because if you're in perma AoE content, a ton of people will just use stuff like Jade, or Small Herda, or Argenti, you know? Like, you don't even need Anoxa, because AoE damage is his weakness. Like, they completely fucked him over. Exactly, Solus. Like, give Thirda an M-Blade, and she's becoming top 5 DPSs. No troll. I could 100% see it. Argenti Nova plus M-Blade equivalent. Bam. That's basically the same as Acheron getting Welt Nova and then M-Blade. I'm like 99% confident that Argenti Nova is for Thirda, because legit nothing else makes sense. I don't know why they'd even bother. No, I know, Solus, it's bad. Like, it's bad. I feel like 90% of the serious argumentation here is just people like misunderstanding. It's like crazy. But at the end of the day, like that just comes with trying to engage in conversation. So I'm not like too mad about it. I mean, I've been streaming and making videos for so long. At some point, it doesn't affect you as much. Even then, Thurda will still be shit in single target? Not necessarily, no. Like, once again, you look at someone at Himiko, right? I guarantee you, people are gonna look back at Himiko, like midway through version 5, and say that her single target damage is shit. But she's the newest character. A majority of her damage is AoE, yet she's able to compete with a lot of the current teams in single target, including Silverwolf, who's a bounce damage dealer, right? Thurda can get the same treatment, either through an M-Blade equivalent, who vastly buffs her damage, and on top of this, increases her frequency of ult gen, or they do something else. They give another buff, let's say additional damage, right? This could easily fix Herda's bounce issue. If you make Herda a support who is able to have sizable additional damage to one or multiple targets on field, that alone would massively help. It's basically the equivalent of Cyrene's buff to Phanon that has the additional fire damage, but on a higher level, you know? Like, it's easy to think of solutions to sell for a lot of these Hoyo and like HSR characters and their flaws that they have. It's much more simpler than most people would realize. Thurda can't be saved by anything. Yeah, dude. Just keep believing that. What a chat. What a stream. You're welcome. I'm not thanking you guys. My throat is half dead. I didn't even realize it. All because I'm trying to fix the misinfo. This is exactly why I took like a fucking long ass break after Yao Guang beta. Like, people are so dense, man. These streams are too enjoyable. Maybe to you guys. But not to me. It's the complete opposite. Think they were intentionally sabotaging kits like Herda's for Nova flaring them later? I mean, yeah, you can see it in newer characters too. Like, Himiko is going to have these same issues. Silverwolf, Fua team is probably going to have its own issues. Evanesia, she has issues. Probably not going to get a dedicated support like Silverwolf. Like, they always leave issues on purpose, you know? Things that hard cap the team's ceiling to make sure that the new characters power creeping in the new version do their job, and then they can give them a Nova.
Here comes Master Yu-Yu.
Yeah. Like, at the end of the day, these are gacha companies whose entire goal is to get you to open your wallet for characters that you like, and then if that doesn't work, they get you to open your wallet for characters that are meta and inflict FOMO on you. Like, despite how pretty these games look and how kind or rewarding these companies slash games can look, they all have just one thing in their mind: your money. Money, money, money. So they have to do shit like that. I like Cypher. What do I do? Get her E6 or die? In game. In Wuwa. Yeah, to be honest, like, support power creep isn't as bad as DPS power creep in HSR. Like, it's noticeable, but for example, you compare the use case of a non-buffed 1.x DPS versus new DPSs versus like Ruan Mei to new supports. Like, yeah, the new supports are significantly stronger than Ruan Mei, but like Ruan Mei is still very, very usable across a ton of teams for endgame content and especially APOC. You know? So, support power creep in HSR isn't as big of a deal, in my opinion, as DPS power creep. Did you say support power creep is worse than DPS power creep? No. I mean, that would just be wrong, is the thing. Like, Himiko at E0 is stronger than E2 Faye. Like, that's 100% worse than fucking whatever. Like, M-Blade is stronger than Tribby, yeah. But if you get E1 Tribby, even if she's not on M-Blade's level yet, like, she's up there. She's starting to get there. And she's a Harmony, so she can abuse DDD. But, like, there's not a single 3.x character you can get E1 who competes with Himiko.
Here comes Master Yu-Yu.
Look at how E0 Tribby is performing. I mean, sure. But, like, E0 Tribby is still useful, is the point. You can still use... I mean, there's, like, 3 team endgame content in this game. You know? You can have Welt Nova on one team. You can have M-Blade on the other. And then you can have Tribby on the other. In fact, one of the current strongest variations of the Ashblade comp until they get Avin is with Tribby. Believe it or not. You know? And if you have her E1, she is best in the slot. I'm using E1 Tribute with E2 Emblade, yeah.
Comes Master Yoo-hoo.
I'm low-key curious to see an account that doesn't pull DPS but just vertically invests in pull supports. It works. Like, you might not think it works, but it works. In fact, I remember Tribi full support team. Like, I think it was like Hyacine, Tribi, plus Sunday, plus like some other Amper, maybe Ruan May. Like, that was one of the best zero cyclers, no joke, throughout the entirety of Ampho, was main DPS Tribi. I don't know how, but like, I mean, it just works, I guess. And now with like Emblade and Ashvale, you could 100% do it as well. Yao Guang would be harder though. Like those supports that are like more gimmicky and don't have that much personal damage, much less so.
Master Yoo-hoo.
Even like, for example, even E2 Dan Heng PT, he also zero cycles like current endgame content. If you have the right invested supports in him as well. I've seen E2 Dan Heng PT clears decently often. Yao E6 has impressive clears on Herda. Really? Is Huohuo better than Archer? Better for Archer now than Dan Heng PT because of Rin? To be honest, probably. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised though. Like, I don't see any reason it wouldn't be. I mean, Dan Heng PT and Huohuo both basically basic attack the majority of the time. You will need a heal like every once in a while, but that's normal. Same with Dan Heng. And then the difference is that she gives team-wide attack and team-wide energy, while Dan Heng's is stuck to one target. So yeah, I'd imagine so. No, Huohuo buffs team-wide. She's not single target like PT. PT would be better if you had his E1. But if you don't have his E1, then probably not, no. E1 Tribi or Emblade? I'm pretty sure Emblade, no? E1 Tribi might be better in Pure Fiction. But in terms of just pure damage output, I'm pretty sure Emblade already power crept Tribi for Thurda. Though it's usually better to run both of them together with Thurda apparently now. So I want to know for Herda, which is better. I mean, I'd go E1 Tribi, not gonna lie. It's higher amp, and the gimmick is especially useful in Pure Fiction. Emblade, the only thing with Emblade that has a gimmick as well is every time he follow-ups at E1, his ult cooldown will get delayed more, which can be useful possibly. Like, there's less downtime. Emblade was made Nihility to avoid DDD? I mean, I think he's just Nihility because he attacks, to be honest. Every single Harmony in the game doesn't attack on their skill, but Blade does. Yeah, also, he was made Nihility to buff Acheron for the most part. In terms of amp and damage, it's Emblade, yeah. Like, once again, Tribby at E1 can beat Emblade in Pure Fiction, possibly. Because of the way the E1 works. And it also depends on the investment of your Thirda. But, at the same time, Emblade's damage output is, like, noticeably higher than Tribby's. Especially in Pure Fiction. So he may not have the E1 gimmick that Tribby does, but his damage contribution and his ult hits pretty hard against 5 enemies. Alright, chat. I'm gonna end the stream here. It's getting late, and my throat is dead. I'm not exaggerating. It hurts to talk. Hope you all have a great day. Hope you all have a great